A billionaire on the verge of firing his maid with a single call. A little girl who picked up the phone instead and changed his life forever. What began in anger shifted to silence when he heard, "Please don't fire Mommy. She needs money for my medicine." That one call broke down a wall of pride and exposed a truth money couldn't cover. Watch what happens when power collides with innocence, and a billionaire learns the real meaning of humanity. Before we begin, drop a comment and let us know what time it is and where you're watching from. Also, don't forget to strike that like and subscribe button. Let's dive in. Where is she now? Richard Vaughn's voice echoed through his office. The clock hit 9, and the housekeeper hadn't arrived, again for the third time this week. He slammed his pen on the desk. "Daniel, get me her number." Daniel hesitated. "Sir, Jessica mentioned her daughter wasn't feeling well." "I didn't ask for excuses," Richard snapped. "I want her number." He dialed the number aggressively, staring out at the skyline, tension tightening his jaw. The silence grew unbearable and then click. A soft, shaky voice answered. "Hello." Richard's brow furrowed. "Jessica Brooks. Finally, do you have any idea how unprofessional?" No, sir," the voice interrupted timidly. "Mommy's not home right now." He blinked. "Who is this?" "I'm Ella, sir. Mommy's daughter." The child's voice froze him in his tracks. He stared at the phone, confused. "Why are you answering her phone? Where is your mother?" "At the hospital," Ella said softly. "She told me to stay home. I'm not supposed to open the door for anyone." "The hospital?" Richard repeated, irritated. "Don't tell me she's lying again." Ella's silence stretched over the line, then she spoke quietly. "She's not lying, sir." Richard's irritation flared up once more. "Listen, little girl. Tell your mom when she gets back that she doesn't have to come back. She's fired. I don't tolerate irresponsibility." There was a pause. He could hear her breathing, shallow and irregular. Then she whispered, "Please don't fire Mommy." He pressed his fingers to his temple. "What did you say?" "Please, sir. She said if she loses this job, we can't pay for my medicine." Richard froze. "What medicine?" The girl hesitated. "Mom said I'm not supposed to tell. She said rich people don't like problems." His voice softened. "What kind of medicine, Ella?" "I get tired a lot. My chest hurts when I run. Mommy takes me to the hospital after she's done cleaning." Richard's throat tightened. "And she's at the hospital now?" "Yes, sir. She works there too after she's finished with her shift with you. She cleans at night." The phone slipped from his hand. His luxurious office, once warm, now felt cold. "Why didn't she tell me?" "Because the last time she was late, you yelled at her," Ella said softly. "She cried in the kitchen. I heard her." Richard's breath caught. "She cried?" "Yes, sir. But she said, 'You're good deep down, just strict.'" He didn't respond. The child's words cut deeper than any accusation. He could picture her now, small, sitting on the floor holding a pink phone covered in cartoon stickers. "Where's your dad?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Daddy left before I was born. Mommy says I'm her only gift." For the first time in years, Richard was speechless. His anger faded, replaced by something else, shame. "Ella, do you have food at home?" "Yes, sir. Mommy left soup. It's cold now, but I don't mind. Whisker, our cat, keeps me company." Richard stared at the mahogany desk, his reflection quivering in the polished surface. "You shouldn't be alone." "I'm okay, sir," she said softly. "Mommy says God watches me when she can't." "Maybe he told you to call today," he murmured. His throat closed. He tried to speak, but no words came. Only silence. "Are you still there?" Ella's voice was barely audible. "Yes," he said quietly. "Please don't tell Mommy I answered. She'd be scared you'd be mad." He cleared his throat. "I'm not angry, Ella." "You sounded mad earlier," she said, her voice honest. "But you don't sound mean now." An uneasy silence settled. The same man who ran multi-billion-dollar companies suddenly found himself lost in a conversation with a 7-year-old. "Ella," he said softly, finally finding his voice. "Can you promise me you'll stay inside until your mom comes home?" "Yes, sir. I promise." "And tell her she's not fired." She gasped. "Really? Really?" "Yes, really. And I'll call back later." A tiny laugh of relief escaped her. "Thank you, sir. Mommy will be so happy. She prays for you every night, you know." Richard blinked, stunned. "She what?" "She says even rich people need someone to pray for them." He was silent. The call ended with a soft goodbye and the faint sound of the girl humming a lullaby. Richard slowly set the phone down, his mind swirling. The city lights outside blurred as he stared at his reflection. Expensive suit, perfect tie, but hollow eyes. A man surrounded by wealth, yet for the first time he felt empty. He whispered into the quiet room, "What have I done?" Richard sat motionless long after the call. The city skyline shimmered behind him, but all he could hear was the girl's voice replaying in his head. She cried in the kitchen, but she said, "You were good deep down." For the first time in years, those words cut deeper than any business failure ever could. He grabbed his coat and walked out. Daniel called after him, confused. "Sir, the meeting with investors?" "Cancel it," Richard snapped. "And get me the address for Jessica Brooks." The drive through the city felt endless. The towering glass buildings faded, replaced by flickering street lights and cracked pavement. When he finally arrived at the small, rundown apartment block, rain had started falling again. He knocked hard. No answer, only the faint sound of a cat meowing inside. Then he saw it. The pink phone lying on the floor just inside the curtain. He stepped back, guilt crawling through him. The girl had spoken to him from this small, dark room, while he sat in a chair worth more than her year's rent. He dialed the hospital, pretending to be a relative. "Jessica Brooks," he said quietly. "Where is she working tonight?" An hour later, he stood in the hallway of the city hospital. The smell of bleach and exhaustion filled the air. At the far end of the hall, he saw her. Jessica, in a too large uniform, mopping the floor by the emergency ward. Her eyes were red, hands trembling from sheer fatigue. "Jessica," he called, his voice soft. She spun around, startled, nearly dropping the mop. "Mr. Vaughn." "Sir, I'm sorry for being late. I'll make up for it tomorrow." "I swear," she stammered. He raised a hand, stopping her. "No need to apologize." "But you called." "I called to fire you," he confessed. "And your daughter answered." Her face drained of color. "Oh God. She wasn't supposed to." "Jessica," he said quietly, "why didn't you tell me she's sick?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because you're my boss, sir. You don't pay me to share my problems. You pay me to clean your house. And I need that job to keep her alive." Richard's jaw tightened. "You should have told me." She shook her head. "People don't want excuses, Mr. Vaughn. Especially from the rich." Her words hit him harder than any reprimand. He swallowed, trying to steady himself. "I'm not angry. I'm ashamed." Jessica blinked, confused. "Ashamed?" He nodded slowly. "Your daughter said you pray for me every night." She smiled faintly. "I do. You've always been fair, hard but fair. That's rare." Richard's gaze lingered on her trembling hands. "How long have you been working double shifts?" 6 months, she replied quietly. "Since Ella's diagnosis." "And what's wrong with her?" "A congenital heart defect," she said softly. "She needs surgery soon. I've been saving every dollar." Richard's eyes scanned the room, landing on a hospital poster. "Blood donors save lives." His breath hitched. "Jessica," he said slowly, "did you donate blood at St. Cityview Hospital last year?" "Yes, sir." "They were short one donor during an emergency surgery." "Why?" Richard exhaled shakily. "Because the patient who lived that night was my son." Jessica froze. Your son?" He was in a car accident. They said a last-minute donor saved him. It was you. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Jessica covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. I didn't know. Richard's voice cracked. You saved my son, and I almost destroyed your world. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. This isn't charity, he said. It's a debt. For what you did for my family. I can't take this. You will, he insisted. And from now on you're not my maid. You're an employee at the foundation. Full salary, insurance, and health coverage for your daughter. Understood. Jessica's head dropped, overwhelmed. Why are you doing this? He met her eyes, his tone unwavering. Because your daughter taught me what it means to care. Weeks later, the hospital room was filled with soft sunlight. Ella sat on the bed, clutching a stuffed unicorn. The tubes were gone, her cheeks rosy again. Richard walked in quietly, a bouquet in his hands. Uncle Richard, Ella called out, grinning. He smiled. You remember me? She laughed. Mom says you help people now instead of yelling at them. He chuckled. Your mom talks too much. Jessica smiled from the corner. She's been waiting to see you. Richard knelt by the bed. You were so brave, Ella. She tilted her head. You were too. You said you're sorry? He nodded. I did. And I meant it. Ella paused, then said, Mom says, when people change, God smiles. Richard's heart tightened. Then I hope he's smiling today. Jessica reached over, squeezing his hand. Thank you, sir. He met her gaze. No, thank you, Jessica. As they stood together, watching Ella hum softly, Richard realized something he never had before. Some people chase riches, while others find them in a child's simple words, Uncle Richard. The city lights flickered to life outside. But for the first time, Richard didn't need them to feel wealthy. One call, one voice, one moment, forever changed. When a billionaire tried to fire his maid, he never imagined her daughter would reveal the truth that would break him and save them all. If this story touched you, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.